Welcome to Act 2 You're On. Join us weekly at our studio roundtable as Rhonda, Kate, and Linda invite spectacular guests to weigh in on staying sexy, vibrant, and healthy. Launch your next great act with authenticity and purpose. Summon your courage, superstar, and step into the limelight. So grab a coffee
or a martini
and let's set the stage for a grand entrance. It's Act 2. You're on.
Welcome, friends, to A2YO. I am Linda Ty, and I have the great pleasure of podcasting with two of my dynamic A2YO co-hosts.
I'm Kate Levy. And I'm Rhonda Garvin Conaway. And we are also joined by our skilled producers, Kathy Carswell and Susan Nagel.
So, friends, I am thrilled to talk with Joseph Varghese today, founder of Success Circles. I have been a member of Success Circles for I think like maybe 6 months at this point. I joined it, I will say, because I wanted to up-level myself in my business. But I have to say it's an extraordinary platform that Joseph has put together. And it involves having accountability buddies, and he does it in this really unique way. I have up-leveled not just in my business, but personally as well. It's so powerful. So I know you're going to love this conversation. And I just want to ask our viewers and listeners, do you ever wonder how some people just seem to get so much accomplished? Do you find it challenging to stay focused, engaged, and on target as a business owner? Do you want to create a better work/life balance? Our guest, Joseph Varghese, is somebody you definitely want to listen to because he can help you get there. So I'm just going to read a little bio about Joseph and then we'll get started. So Joseph Varghese, certified neurostrategist and peak performance coach, began Success Circles in 2005. After 9/11, he saw people going above and beyond to connect and help each other. He made it his mission to participate and build ventures to do just that. He also immersed himself in studying personal development and human potential. When Success Circles began in 2005, he knew how challenging it is to stay focused, engaged, and on target as a business owner, and also seeing those same challenges with most entrepreneurs he connected with. Joseph is passionate about empowering others to stay focused, driven, and living their highest potential. His Success Circles platform helps build structures and frameworks for greater freedom, for fulfillment, and fun. In 2015, Joseph launched the 90-day Momentum Team 90-day Accelerator, powered by Success Circles, which pairs members with both a Momentum Buddy and an Accelerator team. Team members are committed to crowdsource each other's success through invaluable feedback, monthly sprints, mentoring, resources, referrals, and accountability. It's the ultimate way to experience the 90-day year in action. In his role leading Success Circles, Joseph facilitates greatness. He's been able to bring both his passion and purpose together, connecting entrepreneurs and professionals together to live extraordinary lives. And he's also a speaker. He speaks all over the world. And we are so thrilled to be talking to you today, Joseph.
It is so good to be here. Thank you so much. Yes, Rhonda, Linda, and Kate, thank you for really sharing my background there. Good to be here.
Yeah. So tell us, I know there's a great story, I believe I've heard behind you starting Success Circles and your path to kind of getting to where you thought that was the thing to do.
Yeah, thank you. My background, so I'm a former process engineer. So I used to be a technologist, process engineer. I had the opportunity post-college in 1996, 97 to work for several top Fortune 500, Fortune 100 companies. And I believe that it's so essential that we pivot in life, right? Especially when information comes our way, challenges come our way, family issues and so forth. So I've had the opportunity myself of pivoting numerous times, even in college. And being an entrepreneur, experiencing 9/11 and supporting others too over the years, just realizing that we all have to actively find ways to course correct, pivot for ourselves, our lives. So yes, there is a huge story. I mean, part of it has to do with health. I know all of you are very passionate about health too. My mom had a heart transplant in my senior year of college 25 years ago. And yeah, that was a big shift for me when that happened. And even prior to that, growing up, she was an RN nurse. Most of the women in my culture are nurses and physicians these days. That they came to this country back in the 60s and 70s during a time there was need, specifically around the Vietnam War, when they came to this country, and they brought their husbands and their families with them as well. I'm blessed to be born a New Yorker. And as a child, my mom had these fainting spells as a nurse, and we didn't know what caused that. In my senior year of college, her heart went to failure. And as she went to failure, and as she was getting her transplant, her doctors also diagnosed that with me as well, also that same condition, cardiomyopathy. And I'm grateful because I didn't know this in college. My parents did know that there's something off based on seeing a physician prior to my college entry. So I had a full college experience, and part of the reason why I started Success Circles is just realizing that we all need to pivot in life. And there's also access to what I see as being 1% better each day. So when my mom had her transplant, her doctors also told me that in 40 years, I might have that as well also. Mm-hmm. So I made a decision back then that I wouldn't go down that path. And I learned how to be healthy, make better healthy choices each day. Whether it be drinking green tea, taking fish oil, just everything I could read about reversing heart disease, to the point where my wife, who's a physician, we saw my cardiologist, my mom's transplant cardiologist 8 years ago, 2013. They ran full testing on me, stress tests much more, and I no longer have that condition. I basically reversed what's considered to be a very degenerative heart condition. I've completely reversed it.
Wow.
So there are multiple elements of the story. I don't want to bore your audience, but health is certainly a big part of it. My dad, sadly, he passed away of a stroke some years later in 2004. He kind of held a lot of the emotions in as my mom was struggling over those years. Mm. He held a lot of that in for myself. I think he wanted to protect my sister and myself. My sister was in medical school. I was in engineering school. So he wanted to protect us. He held it all in. And I learned that as entrepreneurs, as leaders, and he always wanted to be an entrepreneur. He was a civil engineer. It's not good to hold things in. So Success Circles, it's built on a whole number of factors, feedback, making 1% progress each day, realizing also, I think, Linda, you'll appreciate this phrase. I'm sure you've heard about this phrase before, specifically from a nutrition school you're involved with years ago. One conversation can change your life. And I really believe that one conversation can change your life, especially if you're connected with someone who's a step or two ahead of you, or even, all of you, I'm sure as you connect and engage and share feedback, interview your guests, you get better, your audience gets better. And it is all about sharing conversations that really matter to help people level up, improve, and be better.
Absolutely. And it's always interesting to hear somebody's story, but it's helpful because we can connect. And I think that the work that you're doing is so extraordinary. I know Linda has talked about it and a lot, but wonderfully so. I was wondering, just out of curiosity, I had never heard neurostrategist, but it sounds fabulous. Could you explain that?
Yeah. So I've had a number of coaching certifications over the years, and when I actually went to a nutrition school called Integrative Nutrition years ago as well. I know, Linda, you have experience as well. And I went down this pathway of learning as much as possible around personal development, leadership, and growth. I had the opportunity, the flexibility. My dad just passed away, and I wanted to make change in the world. So the certification is called Neurostrategy. It's an NLP certification, and it was in Oregon that I took it. And it is about creating impact, creating change, and how we communicate with ourselves, how we communicate with others. And when I found it very vital. So it was an NLP certification, but specifically it's NLP from the heart. And that's the basis of it. And hence it's called a neurostrategy. And I like the language much more so than calling myself a process engineer or a computer engineer. It's where I used to be. And these days my clients call me the breakthrough engineer, which is great. And I believe that we have the opportunity in life through language to continually reinvent who we are as people, and as people. And that's certainly been one of my reinventions over the years that I'm very grateful for, being a neurostrategist.
Yeah, it definitely contributes so much to your program. Even the way, in Success Circles, Joseph has provided us all with a series of questions that we can choose from to ask our buddy, and they're all. It's a very positive. The language is important, and how you ask the question. The language is important, and so we all take it seriously without even thinking about your background, Joseph, or your training. It just puts us in the mode without even giving us that specific direction into using that positive language. It's very, very powerful. And the other thing that I love about Success Buddies that you have put into motion is that every day I talk to my buddy Monday through Friday. Is what I've decided to do with my buddies so far. Maybe people can do it differently, of course, but we've done that. And every day we say our big why, and we say our wins, our magic moments, how we could strategize to even be more effective. And we say our big why, and we say what we're grateful for. It's just so powerful. It's so powerful to state that every day. You cannot start your day in any way but feeling powerful and engaged and ready for the day after you've done that. It's really extraordinary.
Thank you, Linda. Yeah, it is. It's a framework. It's unique. We're focused, and intention goes, energy flows. That's the basis for that. That phrase, focus goes, or where attention goes, energy flows, has been around. It's age old. Napoleon Hill. So many authors talk about that, and this is a framework for us to kind of create that, like set our focus for the day. And I've over the years, I've gotten appreciative of the language of games and sports, and so we've been embracing more sports language into what we do. So that call is kind of like a huddle. Like every game is a huddle. When I was in college and high school, I was in the fencing team, and we had a huddle before the meet. We had a huddle before the game. So I believe we all need to have some sort of a huddle, and it's a very structured huddle, right? And you focus on your why. When you know your why, it pulls us forward into life. When we know our values, it pulls us forward. We continually optimize and course correct until we're being consistent with those values. And especially if we connect with someone who's a step or two ahead of us, who's playing a very similar game, who's also out to create impact in the world, who's also out to add value in the world. It invites us to level up too. And I'm a guinea pig in the program too as well. Even though I've designed it, I've optimized it as an engineer, I get to actually play in it too as well.
And it does feel the work that you're doing is exactly what the world needs right now. I'm intrigued to talk to you a little bit more about the power of language. I know in my own work with artists and with athletes, probably one of the first things I do is work about dismantling negative talk and self-doubt, because it doesn't help you. And it is fascinating the things that we'll say to ourselves. So can you speak a little bit to the power of, that self-deprecating or that self-negative talk, and how that, the work that you're doing is helping people kind of move past that or be alert to the fact that they're speaking that way about themselves?
Yes, Kate. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for that. Also, your access with regard to artists. Some years when I first left the corporate world, I took a voice class called Linklater Voice, and my instructor gave us a copy of the book The Artist's Way by, I believe it's Julia Cameron, right? I believe it is. And for years, I did that practice of the morning pages, going back 20 years ago, and it was very helpful. The whole nature of resistance. So all of us as entrepreneurs, we deal with resistance each day, or as leaders, any field we're in. And it's how do we combat that resistance, or how do we minimize that resistance? And Stephen Pressfield talks about that in The War of Art. Julia Cameron talks about that in her book as well, doing morning pages. And I find, for me, the most impactful way of dealing with resistance is to get out of my own way, get on a huddle, talk to another human being, and be able to connect and engage, talk about my challenges in a way where I'm not necessarily feeding or fueling those challenges, but in a way where I see opportunity from those challenges. What are the lessons from this? One simple way of doing a huddle could be, what are the highs, what are the lows, and what are the lessons from the lows? So it's in shifting how we think each day that we're able to create more opportunity, see more opportunity, and re-strategize our day so we're able to get more done, perhaps get more done of the right things for our day. And the huddle for me provides access to that. For me, also, the idea of when you win your morning, you win your day, also gives me access to that. I know some people are night people. They work later at night, especially some of the creative people who I've connected with, writers, authors, painters. They have those moments in the evening, some of them, not all of them. So it's recognizing our unique value individuality, like who we are as people, as leaders, how we connect with the world, and adopting a framework that's in alignment of us making progress. And for me, it's 1% progress per day. It's not difficult, but it does take, we have to journal. We have to engage in the right conversations with people. We have to continually shift our environment so that our environment pulls us forward into action, whether that's minimizing clutter, whether that's putting up affirmations, whether that's our peer group, the people we connect with. And all of that makes a difference. Language is a big part of that too, as well. So Kate, really, really brilliant. And it's wonderful that you support, or you have supported artists before in the past. And you do that actively, I'm sure. And it's important to be able to engage that creative fuel, especially as life gets busier. We have so much noise around us. The choices that come our way, they say double each year. The idea of what's called Moore's Law, it doubles. So we have to continually find ways to say no, to simplify, and stay present to our purpose each and every day.
Wow.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. And I love that you're using the analogy about team and huddling. And I understand you're part of a team personally. You are a dad of 2 young children, yes, and you are engaged with your family as well as doing the work with the business. I'm quite certain a lot of people who are listening to this podcast or watching are thinking about, how do I do my family life? How do I have the integrity to do the work as a parent that I'm called to do, and also do this big thing called business? What has that been like for you? What kinds of changes have you had to make? Talk to us about your experience, please.
Rhonda, it's I can speak from my perspective. My wife, she's a mom. She's a physician. She's super mom. When I see her, she's extraordinary. And what I'm aware of is that my life is a lot easier than for you, Rhonda, and all you lovely women. Just having to manage and be there for kids, manage a business. It takes quite a bit. It really does take quite a bit. So I can speak from my perspective. I will say that. So I became a father later in life. So my daughter was born. She's 6 now. She turned 6 recently this month, and she, before she was born, I realized that I needed to have a greater community, a team around myself. So in 2015, 3 months before she was born, I engaged with some people in my network, people I knew who were high performers, who were up to great things. We created a mastermind. We call the mastermind Bridging the Gap. What would it mean to bridge the gap for each of us toward our goals, our dreams? And initially, it was just a collection of bringing people together in a unique way, where we would play the game of being bold each day. And some years before that, I had the opportunity of coaching a program called the Self-Expression Leadership Program. I was a head coach, and I was asked to build a framework to hold all these coaches accountable. And I created this framework where I invited each of these coaches to make bold, unreasonable requests each day, to live courageously each day, and to report what happened out of making those requests, out of being bold each day. Kind of the idea from Anais Nin, life expands the bolder we are. This poet from the 20th century. Mm-hmm. And when we did this is before my daughter was born, years before my daughter was born. Over the course of those 90 days, each of these coaches just expanded, like just in terms of opportunities, getting raises at jobs, asking the person they're dating for 2-3 years to get married, like finally to progress that conversation, going from a second class ticket on a plane to a first class, making that request. Can I get a free upgrade here? And over the course of those 90 days, we'd all accelerated in community of each other and in this fun challenge. How can we be bold each day? So fast forward when my daughter was born, we put together this mastermind, initially called Bridging the Gap. And I brought my friend Michael Redmond, Tom Martin, I think Linda, you might know Tom perhaps, and some other extraordinary leaders together in a way where we would challenge each other in a fun way. And we would meet each week too, to check in, see how we were doing, give each other feedback, refer a business also. So that became eventually over the course of those years, that became our team program, Momentum Team Program. It's a bit of a 90-day accelerator. This is kind of my team that I have in front of me. And my wife is my team as well also. So separate from all of this, my wife is my team. I operate in teams. My parents, when they came to this country 50 some years ago, in my dad's brilliance, he saw this as well. He created a pathway for his family, my mom's family, to come here. And that initial experience of people crowdsourcing each other's, the ability to escape South India, where there was a lot of poverty, to come to this country, has allowed for well over 2,000 or 3,000 people to be in this country now, some 50 years later. And it's just simply that mindset of operating as a team, being there for each other, really showing up for each other, adding value, inspiring leadership, causing leadership too as well. So I grew up into this as a child, and every family occasion I go to, I get experiences because I have so many uncles and aunts and people there and cousins, and we really have each other's backs in a very unique way. So as an entrepreneur, I realized that we as entrepreneurs, we need to have a support system. So in Success Circles, we had the buddy program for so many years, since 2005, 16 years. So the team program came out of this when my daughter was born. And every 90 days since that point, we've launched one of these. Every quarter we have. And we've just gotten better and better each time we've done it. The idea of how do we improve this idea of the 90-day year? How do we operate better as a team? How do we give each other better feedback? How do we show up and play a bigger game each quarter? And so that's our team program at Success Circles.
That's just I've heard many extraordinary things, some great stories about what people have done, to really go bold. And I understand the power more and more being part of Success Circles in going bold, because when you go bold, you're growing toward your future and you're dreaming big. And when you dream big, magic happens, right? The universe opens up those opportunities. And if you're working toward getting there, the only way to do it is to go bold. And I wanted to just, because I think for our viewers and listeners, if they're anything like me anyway, I know you've done so much high-level training, and the theme here clearly is that you're always working with buddies in conjunction with other people, other great minds. And I have definitely done some high-level training as well, but there's something about an old story that I have is that, well, I should be able to figure it out. Like, I shouldn't even ask for help because I should be able to figure it out. And so when you do that, you're in this monologue in your mind, right? And to what Kate was saying earlier, that's when I'm in my, I'm not enough, I'm not this, I'm not that, or you can get into that mode. But when you have a buddy to reflect off from, the real power, I have to say, I'm just going to be very vulnerable. Yes. One of the biggest values to me from Success Circles is I think I'm really hard on myself. I'm a perfectionist, right? So I'll never be good enough for me about myself. I don't feel that way about other people. So it's very powerful to have somebody go, wow, you accomplished a lot yesterday, or wow, you have got really big goals. Wow, you're so organized. Wow, and I think, oh my gosh, that is such a valuable feedback to try to, combat really my negative self-talk. It's so important. So I think a lot of people think they can do it on their own. And so I just wanted to have you speak to, and I know we have been talking about it, but really the power of so important to get coaching, to have a coach, to have a buddy, to have a power team, however you set that up.
Absolutely. Thank you, Linda. Yes. We have so much inner dialogue. Even I do as well also. So thank you for acknowledging that. And like the average person has between 60 to 80,000 thoughts in their heads each day. A lot of those thoughts are repetitive thoughts. Even for myself too, for years I had, I'm not good enough. I'm a fraud. I'm an imposter. I'm not worthy. All these things that are there. And my wife also, as brilliant as she is, we were talking about this yesterday too. Like, she has that as well. to be able to get in dialogue, to get out of monologue. Monologue is being in our heads, overthinking things, over strategizing, over rationalizing things. That tends to, when we're in monologue, sometimes it causes us to procrastinate because we're so focused on one thought and our energy is on that one thought, that one idea. And I find that being able to connect with another human being in a way that where there's compassion, love with boundaries, respect, allows us to communicate and get what's in our head out of our head. And as you just shared, like having that acknowledge, I felt that too. I get that, I get your world, I love with boundaries. I've been there. It allows us to release that thought, that concern, that challenge that for me was, I'm an imposter, and get back to the work at hand. Like, what's in front of me? What are the 2 or 3 things that are important to me this morning? How can I be a little more bolder today? How can I take the lessons from yesterday and apply them into my life today? It's not perfect. Sometimes we fall back. Sometimes challenges come up. My family events happen. We had a cousin passed away recently, and it's like events happen. And sometimes our kids, somehow I woke this morning and both my kids were in bed with me and my wife. I'm like, how did this happen? But it's joyous, and it's seeing the beauty in it, not making it wrong. Sometimes we do, of course, and just the willingness to course correct to make today better. And that really comes out of being in dialogue and getting out our own heads. And journaling for me was a pathway to this years ago when I first got present to the power of focus. And eventually the value came when I was able to share those aspects of my journal. How am I raising my standards? How am I seeing opportunity? What are the challenges am I facing? What are the challenges you're facing? How are we both human? There's connection here, respecting each other's humanity, with the opportunity, with the invitation that after this call, after this huddle, both of us will be better, especially if we're willing to tackle our day, tackle our morning, or be better today, this morning, than we were yesterday. And especially if we're able to do that in gratitude too, as well, when you're able to ground the experience in gratitude. I've journaled gratitude over the years. Sometimes I'll meditate and pray about gratitude. And when I'm able to connect with another human being, and something happens in that connection where it's being able to share that gratefulness, the why. Perhaps it might inspire something in them, perhaps not. But there's something just happens where we're both better people after that conversation. And that's important. And I feel that in this age, especially with COVID and all these other dynamics and challenges the world has, isolation can be a dream destroyer. And it's so important to break out of the isolation and connect perhaps in person, as your lovely ladies are doing right now, or perhaps, being on a phone call with someone who wants to see you be better.
What you're offering to us, to our listeners and viewers, is so exceptional, because I think it's an invitation to keep growing and developing life skills that's going to serve us all the way through life, and an invitation to learn how to pivot, to get connected, to keep developing skills. And I do think it is what serves the world best. I feel like you've offered us so many bits of wisdom, but I wonder if there's a golden nugget, something from either your work or your life experience that would be helpful, you think, for our viewers and listeners who are at points of transformation, or maybe they're just committing to reinventing themselves forever.
I think the biggest nugget, which we've embraced more of over the years with Success Circles, and in my life too, this may not resonate with everyone, but I want to invite all of you to see that it's all a game. Every day is a game. Tomorrow is a game. Last week is a game. Last year is a game. And whatever game you play, it could be the game of checkers or chess. It could be the game. It could be a sport. Perhaps you have a tennis. It could be basketball, perhaps. I often use basketball because it's 4 quarters, and each day has 4 quarters, and breaking things down quarterly. It can be a little fun seeing it that way. But you don't have to. You just choose whatever game it is for you to see. And I believe that when we see it all as being a game, it creates a little more lightness because access to winning that game is playing, right? And the more we can play, the more we can embrace more wonder, more magic, perhaps in that day and the game in front of us. The more we get to appreciate the game itself, and it's in learning how to appreciate the game that we grow and learn. And when the day ends, the game's over. So tomorrow's a whole new game. So we begin tomorrow's game, coming back and reflecting, well, what made yesterday's game good? And, now that the game's over, what are some lessons I can carry forward into today or in the future? So for me, that's the biggest thing, just realizing that's all a game. And the way games are fun. And when we teach people that in this game of life, we have teams we play with as well. Also, for you, you're all a team here, for example. In our household, my wife and I are a team playing together. It's fun, right? And we can make things happen together as a team. We can move things forward monumentally as a team. We can invite other people to join us on the team too, as well. Also, in Success Circles, we have that too. We added this feature a few years ago where it's called the first drafts. So members go through different cycles and they choose all their first draft players, all the people that they like budding up with, their favorite buddies. So we added a little more fun into the mix there as well. But it's all a game and it's all made up. And when we see life as being just that, it's a made up game, then it gives us access to changing the rules, shifting dynamics, choosing new players into it, and have fun too. Because if it's not fun, then it gets challenging, and there's this friction, and there's weight, and we bring that weight into our lives, and then we affect others, and we infect others. But when we can all be playing this fun game together, and we can rise up together, just as the tides rise, we all rise together. Something really shifts, not just for ourselves, but the communities and the things we're committed to for ourselves. And that's one of the reasons why our tagline for Success Circles is "Dare to play a bigger game," because it's just all a game.
Well, I can imagine if everyone embraced that idea, an invitation to be more playful, to really have the levity to approach life each day. We wish that for all our viewers. And unfortunately, we're going to be I have the job of saying we're coming to an end. So before we do, we would love to know what is next for you.
So what's next for me? So we're building a advisory board into what we do. And it's basically, we've had Success Circles for years, the buddy program, the team program. So the team program is at momentum.team. So if anyone's interested in applying for that quarterly program, momentum.team, put that to a browser, or just go to Success Circles and search for the team program. We're building an advisory component into what we do. So a means to support entrepreneurs to be in small mini advisory circles, to impact each other on a global basis. So I'm excited about this. I'm really excited about this. And it's really helping more people out, and making recommendations, or having people like yourself make recommendations too in our community. We share resources too. So the idea of crowdsourcing, helping each other rise, it's very meaningful. And I shared before, like I grew up in the midst of this in my family, and I wouldn't be who I am now if I didn't have the accountability and support systems, structures that I have in my life. And my mission is to really provide that community, those structures for others to not just survive, but to thrive.
I love it. I'm just going to say I'm, a big fan of Success Circles and all of your communities. So I'll be following you for a long time. And I just want our viewers and listeners to know that Joseph has made it very accessible to be part of this community. And it's invaluable, really. It's just invaluable. It's done so much for me. I feel so much more powerful. And I do feel like when I'm out there and I have a job where I have to call on doctors, and if I think about it as a game, I don't feel so nervous about it. I don't feel so insecure about it. I just feel like just going to have some fun. Just going to have fun. Going to play the game. And it really is powerful. It's so, so powerful.
Thank you, Linda.
Thank you.
Thank you for this conversation. It's exactly what I needed to hear today, but I'm confident that the people listening have gained so much. And I know that they're going to want to learn more about you. I certainly do. And you can find out more about Joseph's Success Circle platforms at successcircles.com. You can book a conversation with jv.zone. You can also find him at LinkedIn and Facebook.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you, Joseph. And thank you also to our amazing production team, Kathy Carswell and Susan Nagel, for making this all possible today.
Yes,
Indeed.
we are very grateful for this conversation, Joseph. Thank you so much.
And so I think it's left to me to say, go forth, be brave, live well, and do good, because it's Act 2 and
You're on.
Act 2 You're On was brought to you by Act 2 Share Our Stage.
You can find us at a2yo.com and also on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Don't keep us a secret. Share us with your friends.
Please listen and subscribe wherever you find your podcasts. You can support us using Patreon. Thanks for listening.